I'm going to talk to you about emotions. So let's have a bit of a play with emotions in the room. So I'd like you all to reflect. I'm going to move. Yeah. Right, I'd like you all to reflect in a moment on the emotions that you're feeling right now. Maybe it's a bit scary, isn't it? Yeah, so maybe you're feeling a little bit curious, happy, a little bit excited. That will only be the people who've never heard me speak before, okay? Right, yeah? Now what I'd like you to do is to look at the person next to you, right, and get some sense of what they're thinking and feeling, okay? Any idea? I bet they're starting to feel... Wow, I bet they're starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable, maybe a little bit nervous, or maybe even excited, but we'll move on very, very quickly. So I want to do an exercise, if you'll indulge me, to change the energy levels in the room, if I may. So may I invite you, when I say invite, I mean you're all going to do it. May I invite you all to please stand up? Oh no, he's going to make us do something. We only came here for the cake. I'd like you to pair up, and with that person, I'd like you to face them, if you may, please. Anybody who doesn't know, a pair is two people, okay? So, if you can just bear with me, I'm just going to give you this simple instruction. So what I'd like you to do is look at the person you're with, and I'd like you to just compliment them and say something positive to them for 30 seconds. Go. Okay. If I know you want to go on, isn't it amazing? But if I can stop you all there. So do you see what we've done to the energy levels in the room and the emotions in the room? Isn't it quite incredible? We're going to do something else now. So I'm going to take you back to your childhood. For me, it's a long time ago. And I want you all to make like an aeroplane, okay? Okay, like an aeroplane. And I want you all to lean to your left. And now I want you to go in for a big hug. You can all sit down now, thank you. To be continued, maybe. I don't know, right? So anyway, my name's Matt and I'm a performance coach, and I believe I've got the best job in the world. So I get up out of bed every day and I inspire people, teams and organisations to be the best that you can be. And at the heart of everything I do is emotions. Now there are 7 core emotions psychologists and researchers have told us, and we'll go through them. Happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, disgust, contempt and fear. 7 core human emotions. But why on earth am I today in sunny Leeds, and it is sunny, you don't normally get to say that in the north, do you? But in sunny Leeds, talking to you about emotions. It's because I believe that emotions are fundamental to us living happy and successful lives, having successful and amazing organisations, yeah, and giving an amazing customer experience. This is why. Because 100% of our behaviour, 100% of your behaviour is influenced by emotions. Not 80%, not 90%, 100%. So it figures, doesn't it, that if we want to be more successful in life, then we do better to understand our own emotions, which you did momentarily, understand the emotions of others to allow us to be more successful and deliver better results. You all agree with me now? Intellectually, if not emotionally. See what I did there? Right, so 100% of your behaviour is influenced by emotions. Now, what's really interesting in the work I do, I initially meet lots of people who haven't really developed their emotional intelligence. Let me tell you a story. There's a client I've been working with for 3 years, a really successful business with a great culture, and they went to market to look for a new sales director. They brought this sales director in about 18 months ago, And he had an incredible pedigree, a great track record, and in fairness, in the first 6 months in that organisation, he landed with absolute clarity, made a real difference to short-term results. And then after about 6 months, the CEO noticed some really strange things happening in that team, and you may well be able to relate to some of these things. The first thing is, one of the top stars in that team, who's a long-standing person, actually resigned and went to work for a competitor. When she walked round and spoke to the team, some of that energy and fizz that had been there previously, it just wasn't there. So she got concerned. So she said, Matt, you're a performance coach and we pay you a retainer. Would you mind going and have a chat with him? The names have been changed to protect the innocent. He's still enrolled because I've been working with him. But at the end of the day, so I went in for my first conversation with him. I was only allowed 45 minutes. He was a busy guy. And I went in and I asked him questions and he asked me questions. And I came out of the room after 45 minutes and I was absolutely clear about why that team was feeling how it was. Because I felt like I'd run a marathon, that I'd been on SAS Who Dares Wins and been interrogated, and I was drained of energy. And it's the first time I've ever driven home drinking vodka. No, that's not true. That really is not true. But I really understood that this guy had very little understanding, despite his high IQ, around emotions and emotional intelligence and his impact on others. As I said, I've been working with him since. Yeah, it took me a while for him to let me in, but actually we've been making some positive progress there. So how is it that as human beings, we don't really always recognize and understand emotions in organizations, when the way in which we talk to each other, we use about each other, we use very, very emotional language, don't we? We use language like this. She's really enthusiastic. Hey, yeah. He's, who's laughing at me? Yeah, right, that's not on cue, right, yeah? She's really passionate, he's really passionate, or, my favourite, that team, you've just got to spend time with them because they're infectious. Do you know people like that? Yeah, not too many here today, I think, but at the end of the day, right? That's all specific words that I've got from 360-degree feedback that I do in organisations. But let's flip that coin and let me tell you some of the other feedback I get. Just wait till you see these. And these are actual words that are off a 360-degree feedback form. Anonymous, of course, yeah? Except to me. So, he's toxic. Isn't that awful? Do you know any toxic people? Yeah, none in here, though, obviously. Yeah, none in here. Right? She's cancerous. That was absolutely, she is cancerous. She's a cancer in our organisation, in our team, right? And my particular favourite, he's a mood hooverer, right? You can all, yeah? Wow. 360-degree feedback, and those are the things. Now, I know where you'd rather be, but isn't it strange that we can have these situations where we feel this level of emotional contempt for people that we work with? So the thing is that they found over many, many years, over the last 30 years particularly, that actually emotions are contagious. And that's because as human beings, we mirror each other. So let me give you an example. Now, you're all far too professional and engaged to even think about yawning now, but the reality is you will all have, in the recent past, have sat with someone who's yawned and yawned. Is that fair? And you think, why on earth have I done that? That's because as human beings, we mirror what we see. I won't go into the detail, but you have a significant amount of mirroring cells, and that's what happens. But a yawn's okay, isn't it? A yawn is fleeting, it's a momentary thing, but emotions are like a virus. So they have the ability, both positively and negatively, to infect us for far, far longer. Let me give you an example. Happiness. It is clinically proven that if you spend time with people who are happy and smile, you're loving it, aren't you? Right? Yeah? You are 25% more likely to be happy yourselves. So if anyone wants to move, from the table they're sat on, just for the rest of the day, please feel free. But unfortunately, negative emotions are far more contagious. The virus is far more strong than actually the positive one. So imagine this, if you show fear, or people around you show fear, anger, disgust, anxiety and stress, that has the ability to affect us far longer. And as human beings, just like we're susceptible to certain infections and viruses physically, it's the same mentally and emotionally. Some of you will be able to sort of bat it off and you wear a Teflon coat when it comes to emotions. But some of us, do you see the us thing there? Some of us are very emotionally susceptible. I am one of those people. And at this point, I'd like to tell you a true story, which is quite deep about me and my childhood, and introduce you to my father. So my father was a very confident, strong, influential man, yeah, and had a significant impact on my life and the family. At his best, he was passionate, infectious, and enthusiastic, and he was an amazing person to spend time with. But here's the thing. He wasn't that person very often. More often, my father was toxic, cancerous, and a mood hooverer. I became emotionally intelligent at a very, very young age. So the thing I want you to think about is, I was constantly looking out for the impact that was having on my mum, my younger brother, and clearly on me. And I can still now, genuinely, and it makes the hairs go up on the back of my neck, that sometimes it used to be dad's coming home, the keys in the door, what mood's he going to be in? What impact's he going to have on the household? And I lived with that probably from the age of 8 till going to university at 18. The story gets happier though. Yeah, okay, right, yeah. So 18, I went to university. Yeah? You don't want to talk to me about university though. I had a great time. Yeah. At 18, I went to university, and out of university, I got a job as a graduate management trainee at Marks and Spencer. Okay? And that's when I consider myself to have got my first proper boss. Mr. Bailey. Not Chris, that was his name. Mr. Bailey in 1994 when I joined Marks and Spencer. But what's really, really interesting, that's the point in time when I understood the impact a boss can have. Because my father was replaced by Mr. Bailey. My family were replaced by the store team where I was working, and my father's key in the door was replaced by waiting for Mr. Bailey to come in every morning and see what mood he was in before he walked around the store. Does that make sense? Now, I want you to realize this. There is one person in our organizations who has more impact on emotions, positive or negative, than anyone else. Who is it? You? Yeah, well, not me, I don't work with you, but yeah, but you, no, you're right, you, but it's the boss. So, who in the room, put your hand up if you're a boss. Yeah? That's a bit, come on. Are you actually putting your hand up? If we were at school, you wouldn't actually get to the toilet, right? Come on. So, right, so put your hands up, right? Okay, so stand up if you're a great boss. I like that, thank you very much. Right, very good. Good, okay. I do work with Orlo. We need to talk. No, right, okay. No. In fact, great that you all stood. Not everyone stood up there, but the one person who has most impact on anything is the boss. Now, like me, you've probably had some great bosses, yes? There's some great bosses in the room, and some of you just probably being very humble, and you are great bosses. Yeah? Would you agree? Yeah, you're good. Yeah, we'll call it humility. Right? Yeah, okay. But actually, you've probably had some Mr. Baileys, haven't you? Yeah? So what I want to do really for all of you now is to give you 3 tips to think about that you can go back with to actually make it a better place to be, a better place to work, and foster and create positive emotions. Are you all up for that? Yeah. Okay, good. We're getting interactive, aren't we, at the end of the day? And if you're not up for it, it's all I've got, so we're doing it anyway, right? Okay, so that's the right answer. Okay, so backbiting. I define backbiting as speaking about a third party who's not present in a negative way. So based on that definition of backbiting, speaking about a third party who's not present in a negative way, stand up if it goes on in your workplace. There's some people not sure at the end of the day, but they're hedging their bets, right? So the significant majority of you have stood up. Okay, thank you very much. Sit down. So maybe if I could give you some tips about how to eliminate that, we'd have more positive emotions, it'd be a better place to work, and you'd give a much better customer experience and you'd deliver better results. So I'm going to talk to you about Socrates, not the Brazilian footballer, but obviously the philosopher. Socrates had a very clear test when anyone came to speak to him about another person who wasn't present. And he said this. He said, first of all, before you share what you're going to share, is what you're about to share unequivocally true? Now think about it. How often do you talk about people who aren't there and go to talk to someone and you have no idea what you're going to say is true or not? You've heard it first, second or third hand. Is that fair? Yeah, so he used to say to people, is it unequivocally true? And if it didn't pass that filter, he didn't listen. He then would say, can any good come out of this conversation? What you're about to share, can any good come of it? How often do you have conversations, guys? Sorry, not you, the people you work with. How often do they have conversations about things where nothing good is going to come out of the conversation? And the third filter is this. Is it useful? So is there anything useful going to come out of this conversation, or are we just talking for talking's sake? The triple filter test. Now, I thought to make it easier for you, I'd highlight, based on my extensive experience, the two groups that are most prone to backbiting. Would that be okay? Would that be helpful? Yeah? I'm sharing anyway, so come on, you should get the gig. Interactive, okay. So the first group of people who I found to be most significantly prevalent in backbiting is men. Okay, men are terrible backbiters, okay, given the opportunity. And the second group is women. Right, at the end of the day, fairly broad groups, guys, yeah, but at the end of the day, so men and women, basically what I'm saying is all of us have a propensity to backbite, haven't we? And actually, so many of us in the school playgrounds and through our younger years have been brought up on that. And it's interesting, social media, 70% of bullying now through education. I've got two children, 14 and 10. 70% of it is now cyber, but is online bullying, isn't it, at the end of the day? Right, which is very interesting. But we are very used to backbiting about people, aren't we? So here's the thing I would ask you to do. The first thing I would offer you is to go back to your teams and share with them my definition of backbiting, talking about a third party who's not present in a negative way, and ask them, like I've asked you, does it exist in your team? And you will probably find when they look at each other and somebody breaks ranks that basically it does exist. And then ask them for a clear and visible commitment for 12 weeks to not do it. And to apply the triple filter test to everything you do. Now, I don't live in fluffy bunny land. The job I do, trust me, with sports people and with leaders and in big organizations is all about delivering results. But actually, if you have more, you're more likely to solve all the problems in organizations with a positive mindset and with positive emotions. Is that fair? So that's my first offering to you. Now, I further categorize the men and women, yeah, into two more groups, I think, in there. And it takes me on to my second point, which is this. There are groups of people who are drains. They're the people who suck the life, not you, you're a great boss. Yeah, right? They suck the life out of you, they suck the life out of the room you're in, and they suck the life out of your organizations. Do you know any drains? Pardon? Yes. Okay, go on my lapel now. I know some drains. Okay, so they're not great, are they? But drains on their own are bad enough. But you know when drains get together, do you know what they have? Pity parties. Right? They host them and they attend them and you can see them. They take people off into these parties over here. Can I just talk to you about somebody? No, you can't. We're applying the triple filter test. But pity parties. So I would say this to you. Don't tolerate drains. But as Gandhi said, be the change you seek. So you first have to make a conscious decision not to be one. Because the second group is what I invite you to be, which is a radiator. Radiators, yeah, are those people that we love to spend time with. Every time we listen to them, every time we spend time with them, we feel good, we want to huddle around them, and we go away feeling warm and fuzzy and like we can eat rocks and we can change the world. Do you know radiators? Yeah, me too, and they're great. Do you know that you become the sum total of the 5 people you spend most time with? Well, you do, okay? So choose wisely and choose radiators and not drains. I don't have drains in my life, and I'm very open with them, and they understand my terminology. Okay? Now, often when I work professionally, it's my job to understand why people are being drained, and there's often reasons for that. But surround yourself by radiators. But you, again, have to be a radiator first. You have to be the change you seek. And I would say this to you. The second point would be 3 times more positive in everything you say and do than you are negative. That's a rule I've used. And you know, if anyone ever says to me, Ben Nimmo came in today and he said to me, how are you, Matt? And I said, I'm awesome. He said, you're always frigging awesome. You can train your brain, yeah, you can reprogram it, create new neural pathways so that you actually, I genuinely believe that all the time. And it doesn't mean that everything's positive for me, but I have a positive mindset in terms of everything I approach. Today, interestingly, I got the train, I work and live in Manchester. I got the train over here. I was on the seat, I was doing some work, and a lady spilled all down my shirt, yeah, a load of tea. Probably not ideal when you're about to come and speak to people. So I ran up there. I used to live in Leeds, and I used to actually work at the Marks and Spencer on Briggate. So I ran up there and I thought, I'm not going to get annoyed. What a great opportunity to go to my old store and maybe see some people I haven't seen for 17, 18 years. Yeah, and what a great opportunity to buy a new shirt. Yeah, what do you think? No, anyway, right. So make a conscious choice to be a radiator. And be 3 times more positive in everything you say and do than you are negative. The final point is this. Get to know yourselves. Spend time with yourselves. The question I ask all of my coaching clients the first time I meet them is, how well do you know yourself? What's important to you? Who are you? And these are highly successful people, often earning huge salaries, and they don't know. So if you don't know who you are and what's important to you, and you don't spend time by yourself, you don't create that space and time for thinking, how on earth are you going to manage your own emotions and indeed manage the emotions of others? Because I believe this very, very passionately. You cannot lead anybody else until you can lead yourself. And at the heart of that is understanding your own emotions. So spend time with yourself, understand who you are and what's important to you. Now, as you can probably guess, I'm quite idealistic. I'm a dreamer. I believe there's a better way. I believe every one of you has the right to have a great boss. I believe every one of you has the right to work for an amazing organization. I believe everyone has that right. Do you? Yes. Yeah, okay. Well, it's somebody over here said it starts with you. It absolutely starts with you in terms of you being the change you seek. Now, I believe passionately that while it's too late for my father, it's too late for Mr. Bailey, right? It's not too late for any of others, is it? And we can create a world where everybody loves going to work. Yeah? And the final thing, and a client said this, and I wanted to share this with you. I was asking her about who she was, and I was with her yesterday, and she said this to me. She said, Matt, whatever picnic I attend, I always take my own sunshine. So I'd encourage all of you, right, whatever picnic you attend, to take your own weather and make your own sunshine. Thank you.